Hello everyone. Right, today I'm going to be making chicken and mushroom pies, homemade chicken and mushroom pies. But before I start making the pies, I have to make the pastry. So I have to make the puff pastry. So please watch this video. Please press the like and subscribe button, and please watch this video. It'll be very delicious pies at the end. Thank you. First of all, before you make sure you wash your hands, because you're going to be using your hands to mix the pastry. So what you need is 250 grams of all-purpose flour or plain flour, which is the same sort of stuff. So you put that in the bowl, and this is to make the actual pastry. We add the butter later. There's different ways of making it, but I'm going to make it the way I was taught. So what you do is you put your flour in the bowl and you slowly add your water. You want about 75 to 100 ml of water. Oh, and also you need like a pinch of salt. So I'm just going to add some salt now. Just a little bit of salt. And then start pouring the water in. And I will start to mix it with my hand. I'm going to make sure it all combines together and use my other hand to pour the water in as I'm doing it.
Now give it a good old mix around. The water will mix quickly. You want 250 grams of all-purpose flour, which is what we call in the UK plain flour. And you will soon start to form that pastry dough. And we have to keep mixing it and kneading it. Feel it getting doughy as you mix it in with your hand. Just feel it coming together slowly. And then once you add all your water, you can use your other hand to start kneading it and mixing that dough in. Once you've formed your dough, you place it on the counter with some flour and just give it a little roll. So just stick a bit of flour on the counter and get your little rolling pin. I've got to get my rolling pin out covered. And then you just want to give it a little unflatten it down. Right, what you do is just put a little bit of flour on the surface. Just put a little bit of flour. And you get your dough. And just want to flatten it out with your rolling pin. You want like a long piece and quite narrow. And you get your butter out the fridge. It's got to be cold. Butter's got to be cold. I've got my butter. You want 200 grams of butter. And place it on top of your pastry. Make sure there's enough pastry at each end to fold in. You might have to make it a bit longer. A little bit wider. place your butter in the middle of your pastry, and then you've got to fold in, make sure there's not enough room. That'll make it a bit longer. And a bit wider. This is where you make the puff bit of the pastry. Right, place your butter in the middle, fold it in like so, and fold in the sides, so that the butter is now within the pastry. It becomes part of the pastry. And then what you want to do, turn it over, give it a little roll. Then fold it in half. Then you've got to put that in the fridge for 30 minutes.
Hello everyone, the first 30 minutes is up, so I've got to take the pastry out of the fridge now. It's been in the fridge for 30 minutes, so what I've got to do is I've got to roll it out again. Put it on the work surface, just here. Get your flour ready, which I haven't done.
You've got to roll it out again. Roll this stuff out of the way. And roll in this kitchen. Oh, shit.
Hello, I thought I had a little bit of a disaster with the pastry as it seemed to be a bit sticky, but I managed to save it. I wrapped it up in cling film and I stuck it in the back of the fridge where it's more colder, and then I took it out and I've rolled it again and it's come out pretty good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it back in the fridge one more time for another half an hour, and then after that it should be ready to use. Hello, well we've made the puff pastry, which is here, taking it out of the fridge, and I'm going to be using that shortly for the to line the the muffin tins to make the individual chicken pies. But now what I've got to do is I've got my chicken here, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut that up into strips at the moment, and I'm just going to fry it to make it seal it all in. So here goes. As you can hear, I'm cooking the chicken, and I'm going to make sure that it's thoroughly cooked on all sides, and then I will chop it up in small pieces. It's easier to cook it first on big slice pieces and then chop it up afterwards, I find. Because once you've got to keep turning it over, and if it's too small, then it's a little bit harder to turn. So I'm going to make sure it's all sealed and then chop it up into small pieces. Once it's all cooked, it's becoming cooked, I'll take it out, chop it up into small pieces and then fry it back in the frying pan and give it a good old cook. Put some salt and pepper on as well. I sealed all the chicken and I've cut it up into small pieces. As you can see, there's still a lot of raw pieces there. Got to make sure the chicken's thoroughly cooked. You do not want to be eating raw chicken. So you can add your salt and pepper. So I'm going to add some salt and some pepper. I've got some pepper here. Hopefully, open that. Whenever you chop chicken, make sure you always wash your board afterwards. You do not want any, nastiness on the chopping board. I've got some rosemary from the garden. I'm just going to throw that in there as a bit of extra flavour. The bite-sized pieces of chicken are now cooked, so I'm going to put that to one side to let it cool down, ready to go in the pie. So while the chicken's cooling down, I can make the filling for the actual pies, like the creamy chicken, the creamy sauce. So I put some oil in the pan. Turn that up a bit. I've got some onions which have been chopped up very finely, and I've got some garlic. I've got 2 to 3 onions chopped up, and I've got about 3 to 4 cloves of garlic. So what I do is get my once the oil is hot enough, I'm sticking my onions, my garlic, when that starts to soften up, get your chicken stock and pour that in. Let that cook for a bit. You might want to add 1 teaspoon of corn flour just to thicken up the sauce a bit. You don't want it too thick, but you don't want it too runny, because if it's too runny, it's going to, like, you know, run out your pie and make your dough soggy. Anyway, what I want to do is add some double cream. So I got me double cream, and I'll add that in to give it that nice creamy flavour. I've got 300 millilitres, so I've added in about half of that, 150 millilitres. After you've done that, add your chicken back in. I'm going to roll out the pastry now, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little bit of flour down on the white surface so it doesn't stick to the work surface. I'm going to stick that on there and it'll be ready to roll out. So, I've got my rolling pin.
Always give your rolling pin a nice wipe. Right, got that there. Now we'll start rolling out my pastry. Right, what I'm going to do is I need to keep some for the lid, so I'm going to cut off 1/3, and 2/3 will be for the base and 1/3 will be for the lid. So I've got my sharp knife, so I'll cut off about that much for the lid. Hopefully that'll be enough. I'll stick that to one side. And then I've got 2/3, which I can hopefully be enough. But I'll roll it out quite thin. Try and roll it into a square if you can. Doesn't have to be perfect. You want to cut out 12
So I've got my muffin tin, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to grease it with some butter. Each compartment is now been greased with some butter, so they'll be ready for the base to go into. I'm using this bowl. I'm going to press that onto my pastry, and that circle will be big enough for the base. So that's like a little Chinese bowl, and that would be perfect for to make the circle for the base. As you can see, each circle is quite big, so once I put that in, I can do all the sides, and then that would be big enough for my pies. Yeah, press the pastry right in. You want to get it right in the corners, press it right in. You want to have a little bit of an overlap on the top if possible, so that you can, when you rest the lid on top, then you can pinch it round. Right, as you can see, I managed to put all 12 pastry in the tin like that. There's a little bit over the top, so when I put the lid on, I can pinch them at the sides and hopefully they'll stay on top. So I'm going to fill them up now. As you can see, I got the chicken, nice big chunks of chicken there, and there's onion and garlic in there, and mushrooms with some rosemary and fresh cream. So I'm going to put them in, see what happens. After you put your filling in, try and bring the sides inwards, so that when you put your lid on top, you can you can pinch it on. When you get your lid, you get your lid a little bit of water, and just touch the edges with the water, and that hopefully should act as a glue. You stick your lid on top and just push it down gently, and should stay on like that. Give it. You can try and stretch the lids out open a bit to make them a little bit wider. So, you know, like that. So you can put them a little bit wider. Yeah, and then get your water, do the edges, and then stick it down on top, and just gently, very gently push it down, and it should bond. There might be a little hole in the top where you might get some sauce come out, but you can't, it's not going to be perfect. I'm not a chef. It's not going to be perfect. It'll be as perfect as I can get it. So yeah, just give it a little stretch, and then get your water on the edges and stick them on top, and then just very gently push it down, and it will seal as much as it can seal. And then when they cook, they will start to bond together. The pastry will bond together and rise a little bit. So just get your pastry, give it a little stretch. You don't want to break it, you don't want to tear it. Give it a little stretch, wet the edges, and then just gently place it on top. Place it on top, and then just gently push it down on the edges. All my pies are now full up, the lids are on, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a little prick in the middle of each one to let the air out when they cook. And the last thing I'm going to do, I'm going to beat an egg and I'm going to wash the tops to give it that nice glaze. So I'll just get my little brush and I will wash each egg to give it that nice glaze. Each pie, wash each pie, give it a nice glaze. Each one's glad. I'm not going to waste the egg. This is what I do, look. So, they're all ready to go in the oven. Gas part 5 for about 30 to 40 minutes. Oh, burn my hand. Hello, after hours of making the pastry, making my own puff pastry and making the pies, they are finally done. It's been a bit of an escapade today with pastry going tits up, and then I managed to get it okay. And also making my own pastry has didn't look like it was successful anyway. That's the tin. As you can see, it's quite burnt around there, and I was quite worried that the pies would not be successful anyway. When I've taken them out of the tin, that's what they look like, and they're actually quite nice. The pastry is really nice. It's all cooked, and you know, it's all sealed and still very hot, so I can't eat them yet, but I think that's a success. Tell me what you think.